Hello and welcome to another installment of Metallic Reviews, the show where I take an honest look at the harder, heavier side of music and give it an honest rating. Today, we dive back into the ever-expanding, ever-suffocating, intricate, and interesting world of death metal. More specifically, we'll be dealing with the brutal, sorta, kinda technical part of the genre. We're also dealing with a band that hasn't released an album in 11 years. It's been a very long time for these guys. They haven't released any new material in 5 years. They had a few EPs that dropped in 2018, but other than that, it's been diddly squat. Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a very long minute, but that hasn't stopped other bands from cranking out excellence. We'll see if that holds true as we examine Cryptopsy's new one, As Gomorrah Burns, out September 8th on Nuclear Blast. Again, it's been a long time since fans of this band have had anything new to chew on. So will this be a tasty smorgasbord of brutal metal jams, or just another cookie-cutter crumbly mess? Let's jump in and find out. First of all, this is yet another death metal group that has turned away from making their albums aesthetically revolting in favor of doing things with a more sinister minimalism. Now, I appreciate that because it pulls the listener in right from the jump. If you've never heard Cryptopsy before, then that element of surprise is only reinforced by the artwork. Couple that with the band's logo that just sits there hovering in midair over this devilish beast thing presiding over the ruins of what I can only assume is the burnt-out shell of Gomorrah, and you've got a recipe for one heck of an album cover. Might be one of my favorites of the year so far, and it's definitely my favorite death metal art of the year so far. Underneath that album lies an album that honestly doesn't really live up to its artwork. Now, it doesn't really take a stated position. It's frenetic, it's fast-paced, and absolutely buried in a thick layer of mid-90s death metal filth and modern grindcore thinking. All 8 of these tracks are basically grindcore tracks played out to their logical conclusions around 4.5 minutes. They explode, restructure, implode, and recycle themselves with the greatest of ease, creating a listen that is once difficult, yet very simple. There's nothing too complex or grandiose here. You're not going to find any major production tricks, nor will you find death metal in the way bands like Cannibal Corpse or Suffocation have envisioned it. Cryptopsy is definitely in a world of their own, and that can be both good and bad. I will say that their vocalist, Matt McGeachy, has definitely improved. Now, I will say I am not a Cryptopsy connoisseur, but I know that the vocals have been a point of contention among fans of the band for the past few years. They certainly have been for me, as everything I've heard of McGeachy has been much too unintelligible to be interesting. His screaming has really come into its own here, though, featuring a well-mixed combination of low-end gutturals and high-end shrieks. True, it's not perfect, and he could do with a break from the ping-pong ball effect every now and then, but as far as vocals go, I have heard way worse. Songwriting-wise, the album benefits from a lot of open-ended thinking, but it also suffers from the same. There are times on here where guitarist Christian Donaldson and drummer Flo Monnier are able to keep a subtly centralized melody and write themselves around it. It's when that niche is lost that the record turns in a somewhat negative direction. For instance, album opener Lascivious Undivine is a well-written and well-played death metal tune. It has a good hook and doesn't try to overexert itself with unneeded speed or aggression. Then, on the next track, In Abeyance, completely negates all that by trying to be as fast and frenetic as possible. In the process, the track becomes sloppy and directionless, frantically grasping at straws just to try and find some semblance of structure. The next 2 tracks follow the same pattern, and by the end, the group have taken to sloppiness a lot more than overall quality. Thankfully, album closer Praise the Filth pulls itself out of that area and delivers a final 2 minutes that are absolutely killer. But all in all, Cryptopsy put together a project that definitely feels like they've been gone for over a decade. They've always associated themselves with technicality, but gore guts and obscura, this ain't, friends. I'm just going to say it. It's also not quite brutal enough to be engaging and not quite melodic enough to be interesting. There are 1 or 2 moments on here, but frankly, they just aren't enough to carry the whole album to success. Also, the album's way too short. It's just over a half hour long. Any shorter and it would have just been another EP. Overall, though, this return in some ways was worth the investment. In some ways, it wasn't worth the investment. Overall, I gotta give it a 3 out of 5. Thank you so much for watching. Click like, and please don't forget to subscribe for more Metallic reviews. Next Time we're going to be headed back into the world of Christian metal. Yes, another huge paradigm shift around here as we take a look at War of Ages' brand new album, Dominion. I hope you join me. You've been watching Metallic Reviews, where I give honest ratings to honest music, and I will see y'all next time.